Welcome. Super happy to have you here. The title of the webinar that I'll be presenting is Gallup Strengths in the Workplace. I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach, and I'm a Gallup trained, I can't say certified, they have a different process, a Gallup trained builder profile or BP10 coach as well. I really value the knowledge that I have gained in being a coach with the Clifton strengths and the BP10 provided by Gallup, because it has allowed me to see trends and patterns in myself and in people that I've worked with, be they peers or students or people that I have managed. Using the Clifton strengths and the BP10 has been really helpful for us to understand one another and work together. So again, you can see my name. I'm Dawn Nizzi. I currently work with Metropolitan Community College. I do business development in their workforce innovation division, but I'm doing this completely separate of that. But if you would look me up on LinkedIn or anything like that, you'll see that's my current gig. So we're going to focus. I've done a couple of these presentations already. The Clifton Strengths one in general, with a focus being on kind of like, I did it way back earlier in the summer, late spring, early summer, with the idea of helping people to get jobs. How could they use knowing their Clifton strengths in the resume writing process and interviewing process? So this third one, and I've done the BP10, and now this is the third one. And this is, you're in a position, you've heard about Clifton Strengths or Gallup Strengths Finder. You've heard about the 34 talent themes. You maybe know your top 5 talent themes. Maybe you've even taken the assessment. So how can you use these in the workplace, just as an individual, knowing about yourself? I think more importantly, when we're in the workplace, that generally means we're in the workplace with other people. So know yourself, but also understand them so that you can work better together. So my intention is that you can leave with some meaningful ideas to use talent to empower yourself, others, and teams in your workplace. And I really like the word empower a whole lot better than engage. I think engage is great. I have no problem with that. To me, engage is more like I have your attention. Empower is more of an action. So I am empowered with this knowledge, and out of that empowerment, I can act with confidence in this way. So that's why I kind of like that term empower better than engagement. Although I hope you're engaged, and then I hope that when you're done, you feel empowered to use your Clifton strengths. So empower with talent, again, is, so I'm going to look at empowering with talent for you specifically, how that can help you, and then the kind of the language that Gallup uses is name, claim, and aim it, your talent. How you can empower with talent with other individuals, being a strengths champion in your own little team, in your organization, with a nonprofit that you work for, with a group that you volunteer with. You can be a strengths champion. It doesn't even have to be something that you're paid to do or in the workplace. Teams and leadership roles, I really find great value in understanding people's talent themes when they're working on teams. And again, great in the workplace when you're paid to work together and get along with one another. But also on those volunteer opportunities, those nonprofit ways, those things that you might do in the community. And then lastly, an empower with your talent is innovative teams that you might work on, or perhaps you feel innovative, entrepreneurial, and how you can use a builder profile 10, which is a different Gallup assessment, to empower your talent as well. So you, others, teams, and then under the idea too of innovation. So again, thank you for being here. If you have questions or comments, please let me know, and I will pay attention and address those. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and take off. So I always think it's important to start with just a quick video that Gallup actually has produced about talent in general. It's only about 1 minute and 20 seconds long. We won't watch the whole thing because the last few seconds of it start to talk about why you should buy the strengths assessment. I'm not here to sell you on the Gallup product. If if you've taken it, if you have the information, or if after this you're interested, great. I don't work for Gallup. So what is talent?
Do you ever wonder why you make the choices you do? Why some things come naturally while others don't? Why you are drawn to certain activities and not to others? There's a simple but powerful reason: your talents. When you understand your unique talents, you have the power to harness them, and your whole world can change. We see talent in people around us every day. The patterns of thought, feeling, or behavior that give them a unique edge. Sometimes it may even seem effortless. In fact, our talents are the keys to our innate potential. When we tap into them, we act with more confidence, inspiration, and direction. But we often take our most powerful talents for granted, or we may not even be aware of them. That's why the Clifton Strengths Finder was developed, to help you discover your areas of greatest potential. Grounded in more than 5 decades of study, the Clifton Strengths Finder is an invaluable tool designed to help you identify and activate your talents and strengths for greater happiness and success. After completing the assessment, you'll receive a personalized report describing your signature themes of talent and an action plan designed to help you unlock your innate potential.
All right, and that is where we'll stop, because then it goes kind of more into some other stuff that I don't find as valuable for this particular setting. I will say, if you haven't taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment, if you're thinking about taking it, if you've heard about it, or if you have, I cannot emphasize enough to use their website, to go to their website. The tools, the online tools, the podcasts, the weekly talent theme Thursdays that they have, that are all videotaped, are super, super well done and very valuable to help you understand yourself. To maybe you're working with someone and you know, because of your organization, you know what their talent themes are, and maybe you're struggling with that person. Go look their talent themes up on Gallup's website, and it can really help you to know, why this particular person's talent themes kind of rub against yours, and how you can get around that and work together better. So I highly recommend the Gallup website. Once you've taken the assessment, a whole lot of tools are opened up for you to use on their website. So your talent, again, it is the way that you naturally think, feel, and behave. Your talent is just so you that you can actually kind of find it hard to see, because you just kind of assume, well, everyone can do that, but they can't. They can't, not the way you do. In fact, for the odds of any two people, it's 1 in 33 million that you and someone else are going to have the same top 5 talent themes in the same order. So it is a really unique look at who you are and how you operate. The other thing is that generally within a talent theme, say of learner or achiever, you may not really recognize all of those different aspects of that talent theme in yourself. There might be someone, so another achiever or another learner, their approach to that talent theme might be very, very different. So how learner or achiever looks in them is going to look different than it looks in you. So even within the talent themes, you can look different. So you're 1 in 33 million. So if you've ever been told you're one of a kind, you pretty much are, and you should know that and value that. So we talked about talent themes, very important. Those pop up. You get the report of your top 5. If you have taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment and you only have the top 5 report, but you'd love to have more, I would encourage you. I think, don't quote me, I think you can get your 34 themes in order for about $50 now, which has come down in price dramatically. And it's really fascinating once you have a handle on those top 5 to kind of see, what are my bottom 34? I don't say look at them to fixate on them. I kind of think they're funny. When I look at my top 5 and then I've had the opportunity to look at my bottom 5, I just look and I go, yep, That's really true. My buckets are pretty empty in those particular areas, and that's okay. That's why when we work on teams with other people, the things that are in the top for them that are in the bottom for you, that actually ends up working out really well because your talent themes complement their talent themes and theirs complement yours. And a lot of times it is in that diversity, like we all hear, it's in that diversity of talent themes that a whole lot of good stuff gets done. So I have these talent themes. What about strengths? It's called Strengths Finder. Well, you have talent themes, and maybe you're a talented singer. Maybe you're a talented swimmer. Maybe you're a talented violin player. Maybe you're a talented seamstress or a talented woodworker. So you have a talent in that. But what if you want to become a professional in that, or you want to make a living doing one of those particular things? You have to work at it. And that then transforms it into a strength. And when you take a talent like woodworking or singing or playing the violin or being a learner or being an achiever, that's when you take it and you develop it so that you're almost always perfect. You're unstoppable at something. And again, it's something that for you feels easy, to the outside world looks like, oh, I could do that. If you've ever seen, like, I don't know, great track star, you're like, oh, that's not too bad. I think I could do that. And then if you've ever tried, especially skill, if you try to do it, you're like, oh, that ice skating, they make it look easy. That's really hard. So again, value those talents that you bring in, that you develop into strengths that make you almost unstoppable. Value that. It is unique to you, and it is what makes you unique in a workplace setting. So how does anyone take any talent and then develop it into a strength? And it doesn't matter what the talent is. Again, it can be an athletic talent. It can be a talent in the arts, being it performing arts or the visual arts. It can be in music. Again, it can be in crafts. It can be in a skilled trade. But if you want to take that talent that you have and make it a strength where you're unstoppable and nearly perfect every time, here's what you need to do. You need to identify the talent, that natural way of thinking, feeling, or behaving, and you got to invest. You have to invest in developing that. What does that investment look like? Time spent practicing, but not practicing wrong, developing your skills and building your knowledge base. So a lot of times that practice requires coaching for a lot of things, coaching or learning, and accepting a whole lot of feedback. It also requires messing up and failing sometimes as you develop that talent into a strength. But you have to invest some time and effort in that talent. And that's then when it can become a strength for you. Again, it's more unusual for people to think of those positive personality traits that they might have, that, oh, it's just how I am. I don't have to develop that any further. It is just how you are, and it is an innate talent that you have. But when you can use it to accomplish goals and to do things and invest in it, you can become very, very powerful. You can achieve your goals better and work with others better. Just like if you're a great swimmer who's really talented at 10 and you invest the time and you get coaching and you practice and you practice and you get feedback and you fail sometimes and you get up and you keep doing it, then maybe one day you're Michael Phelps. You got to have the body to go along with that too. But I think you get it, and it takes that investment. Another thing that I find, and I think just as a human being in our culture right now, I like to say I'd love to see the self-help book industry go out of business. Not that I'm against people improving themselves. I think that's great. I think that we look to improve ourselves from the wrong place, though. I think instead of identifying what's right about us, what's good about us, where we're talented, we seek our weaknesses. We seek those things that we're not very good at, and we say, I got to fix this. If I could just fix these 3 things, I would be fine. I would be successful. I would be this, I would be that. And so we focus on and fixing our weaknesses. And Don Clifton, the creator, the researcher behind the Clifton Strengths Finder, just really wanted to promote in the field of psychology, instead of identifying what's wrong with people and helping them to overcome those different things that might psychologically be issues that make life more difficult. Instead, identify those things that are right about people and build those up. That's not to say that people do not need help and don't have psychological issues that for which they need therapy or counseling. Absolutely. But instead, if we could also focus on what's right with people. So what about weaknesses? Because we all have them. We all have things, like I said, when I got my, my rank order of my 34 talent themes, and I looked at my ones at the bottom there, I'm like, well, those are things that just, my bucket's not very full. There might not even be a single drop in that bucket for that particular talent theme. But what I can do is partner with others with that talent theme, or you identify what's going on in that talent theme, and how am I accomplishing that with the talent themes that I do have. So can your strengths notice and manage damage to a relationship? That's what about your weaknesses they can be the things that are your strengths. For example, maybe you're one of a very common top 5 talent theme of Americans is achiever. So you like to get stuff done. You have a checklist, you get stuff done. Sometimes it's those things that we're the best at that can lead to damage to relationships or problems. You get so fixated on checking the things off your list of accomplishing things every day that maybe you forget about relationships, that maybe a day you only get 4 things checked off your to-do list is still an okay day because you also had time to spend with family or friends and build relationships. And the 5th thing on your checklist can be done tomorrow. But if you focus and you don't build relationships, or you damage relationships because you have to get all 5 things done, that's when your strength of achiever can actually be a weakness. So that's one place to start to think about, am I using my talents to damage my relationships? And then those things that you just don't do well naturally. Like I said, my bottom 5 in my 34 rank order. You know what? Find people to work with who have those that shine at that, and give them the glory for shining in that, and realize that you're going to shine in something else. If you're a manager, those are the people that you hire. So by knowing who you are, what you're talented in, knowing what the job or the company needs to get done, that can help you to know how to hire. Who are you looking for? Where are the gaps? I had an administrative assistant in a previous role that I held, and she was like my perfect complement in terms of the things that I like to do and the things that she liked to do and was really good at. The two of us together were then able to accomplish the goal of the role and the reporting and the different things that we had to do. We both loved the parts of it that we got to do, and we were both able to really appreciate one another. So partner and hire, what I recommend. Investing in strengths development, really any development. 4 principles. Know and understand what that strength or talent is. So that's why the Strengths Finder is so cool. All right, I know my top 5. I know them. I've read through different things on the Gallup website. I have listened to some theme Thursdays. I've read my own personal report. So I'm kind of getting my top 5. Value and use them. I use mine in my signature line. I put my top 5 talent themes in my signature line. I put my top 4 BP10 in my signature line. I'm proud of them. It lets others know that I know my top 5 talent themes, but also reminds me to focus on those. These are the things you're good at. Accomplish the things you need to do today using those. So value and use them. Relive successes. I almost want to put an asterisk here because it's kind of a weird thing to talk about, relive successes. It's like, go back to your glory days. It almost has some kind of a bad connotation to it, but that's really not it. It's not live in the past. It's not, oh, I was good at this, so I'm going to relive that because no, I'm not. No, the idea of this is when you had successes in the past, relive those in that, how did your talent themes help you to accomplish that? So I have two top talent themes for me are learner and responsibility. And when I took over a role in a previous position, I really had a lot of stuff I had to learn quickly because it was behind. Just the project was behind. I needed to get up to speed very quickly. And I had some very important reporting and things that I had to get in order. And this all had to happen really fast. So I relied on my learner to get up to speed on what I needed to know. And then I relied, I don't have achiever in my top 5, but I have responsibility. And a lot of times for me, it's that responsibility role. So I had to learn this and I have to do this because this project needs to get on track and it's up to me to do that. So I combine that ability to learn quickly and my responsibility. So when I think now about other situations, how I was able to accomplish that in the past, yes, yay, I was able to do that. How did I do that? Again, I tapped into my learner, I tapped into my responsibility, I knew where my talents were, I tapped into other people for their talents, and sure enough, we got that program where it needed to be. And then of course, practice. Practice. It's trite, but it's true. Practice makes perfect. Be careful that you're practicing, that you're not practicing it the wrong way. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So name it. So name it, claim it, and aim it is kind of the 3 ways that you'll see Gallup talks about with your top 5 talent themes. So name it, your top 5. List, post it prominently. Some workplaces that I've been in, and it's not just at Gallup, but other workplaces that consider themselves, talent focused workplace. They even have a strengths champion or champions in the community. There are people that champion, rah, support the whole idea of working in your talent themes. They're listed outside their door. Again, you might put them in your email signature line if you have a resume, CV, on your LinkedIn page, whatever. But post them and be proud and start to understand what they are. Claim it. What does that mean? So now I can name my top 5. How can I claim it? And that is growing in your knowledge. Remember I said, if you want to take a talent and develop it into a strength, you want to spend time. And this is where you spend the time. So you grow in your knowledge and understanding of your top 5 talent themes and how those top 5 talent themes work together to make you uniquely you. They're not 5 silos. Those 5 talent themes work together, and it's identifying how they work together. And again, the Gallup resources on their website are absolutely incredible to help you learn about that. You can, if you may have a coach in your workplace, you can hire a strengths coach, a life coach, some coaches like that. I would encourage you to hire someone who's actually a strengths coach. They completely then understand the Clifton strengths. You could even, it's like people create like reading or book clubs together. Maybe you have your team or a group of people at work who are interested in claiming and understanding. Start a small group at work where you spend a half an hour or lunch once a month and you talk about it and you grow to understand your talent themes. You grow to understand other people's talent themes. I worked in a previous place and it was really cool. One of the things that was done was people who bought in early to, using strengths in their workplace. So what they did was the workplace had individuals just do a quick self video. And in that self video, the employee would recognize one of their top 5 talent themes. Maybe start with your favorite one. It may not be your number 1, but of your top 5, your favorite one. And then they do just a quick video, like Gallup has posted on their website, some of this. They do a quick video where they talk about, hey, I'm Joe, my top 5 talent. My favorite talent is achiever. And my achiever looks like this. And here is how it helps me do well at work. Here's sometimes where my achiever can get in the way for me and I have to, watch that. And then those are shared with the community and we get to learn about the employee. Oh, he's got achiever. That's really cool. I don't have achiever. If I want to get something done or I need somebody who's really good at making lists and checklists, that's what I want to go to. So you learn about one another. You have a chance to share about yourself. And then if you happen to have the same talent theme too, you can see how you use Achiever the same way that that coworker might use it and how you're different. So that would be, again, a small group at work or away and work to claim it. Then lastly, and of course the most important, and then this isn't necessarily something, oh, I have to spend 6 months naming it and 6 months, claiming it. Okay, now and I'm my next 6 months, I'm, 12 months into knowing my top 5, I got to aim it. No, you kind of want to make this all go together at the same time. So aim it is where the empowerment happens. And this is where, again, when I think about that role that I took over that needed me to get a lot of information in my head and ready to act on very quickly, and I had to get some paperwork and things ready to go out very quickly as well. When I looked at how I got that to happen, I really relied on my learner and my responsibility to make that happen. So that's that reliving and success. And then practice. So when you have new things coming up in your workplace, how can I rely on my learner? How can I rely on my responsibility? How can I rely on my achiever? How can I rely on my independence? Whatever those talent themes are, how can you do that? And it's almost like role playing before it actually happens. So think about visualization. Another thing that's commonly used, it's to take the time to visualize. Here's where I'm talented, and here's how, if I use those, here's potentially how that could work out for me. And again, really, really encourage you, if you can't work with a coach, to find a peer or some peers that you can work with to do this together. You can do it on your own, always please do, or rely on the Gallup resources, but I don't know, for me anyway, I think it's kind of fun to work with other people. Sort of like reading a book is fun, but reading a book with other people who are interested in the book is fun as well. So you don't want to bribe people into doing this if they don't want to be, but if you have people who are in your life who really want to aim their talents and take their talents and make them strengths, those are the people you want to partner with. Other individuals, so that's you. Other individuals, we can all lead and support our managers. So we're all leaders. If anyone follows us, we are a leader, even if it isn't by some sort of title or position that we've been given. So step up. Maybe you're not a manager, but maybe your organization is really trying to move to identifying people's talents, helping them identify those talents. Be a strengths champion. Be the person that says, hey, I want to start a small group. I want to get to know my strengths better. I want to help you get to know yours. So be that strengths champion in your organization. And that's a role that I've played as well. And it's very fun. It's very fulfilling. I've yet to meet people who find out their talent themes and don't want to get better and understand better, and then understand other people, so that the workplace is more enjoyable. Gallup's research shows that way too many of us are disengaged in our workplaces, and it is knowing what we're good at and how to develop it that can really engage us in our workplaces. So be a strengths champion. You don't have to be a manager to do that. Build relationship with others, again, using those top 5 talents to empower the conversations. Come up with activities, ways to celebrate, but get others involved. Set aside time to, again, like I said, my previous organization I did had people do really short, kind of cheesy, but really short, just little videos where they talked about it, but share about one another's talents live through video. And it can even be typed up. Maybe it's like, I don't want to do a video, but they can type up 2 little mini blurbs about that, connect those talents to your work, learn things about others that don't come up in normal work, show care and concern for one another, and setting aside time to develop these talent things. Connect your work success to talent. The reason that you're good at this is because these are talents. This work is tapping into your talents. Reframe work struggles to fit your unique talent. So, maybe you're not a big list maker, but you have that high responsibility, and that's what helps you to get done. And again, that's what I rely on, because I'm not high in achiever, but that responsibility theme really comes through for me. Strengths-based partnerships. The best partnerships happen when you and someone who has strengths that complement yours, that you're like the opposites on the color wheel, so to speak. So you complement. That's, as I mentioned about an administrative assistant that worked with me some years ago, and it was just amazing. We got along really well. I so valued her work because I so knew I didn't want to do the work that she could do. Not that I'm so brilliant, I could have done it. And she could have done some of the things that I did. I mean, that wasn't the issue. The issue was she enjoyed the pieces of the work that she got to do. I enjoyed the pieces that I got to do. And when we put those together, we put out some really awesome reports and things that we were, ultimately I was responsible for, but as an administrative assistant, that was her role to help me to get those things done. So instead of beating yourself up for not liking detail and not being into spreadsheets, hire for the people who are into that. If you're more of a big picture visionary kind of person, and the details and those sorts of things just like, make you crazy, you hire people where that's what gets them up in the morning, and you put that together and again, that's that complement. So those partnerships are incredible. Teamwork champions allows others to be heard, acknowledges that importance of one another's contributions. A thing that Gallup, if you will go on their website or if you've been to any of their trainings, they are huge proponents of celebrations and recognitions for people. Now, the caveat on that is we don't all like to be publicly recognized in some big balloon-filled open bar extravaganza gala type of things. You know, some of us are very uncomfortable with that. We'd rather have no recognition than have that kind of a recognition. So to be those teamwork champions and that, make sure that to recognize people, that you're recognizing them in a way that actually is helpful and makes them want to be recognized. If you're recognizing them in ways that don't fill their bucket, so to speak, you may find it can kind of backfire on you. But generate pride in the work done by the team and each person's contribution. You can't say genuine thank yous to people enough. You cannot compliment people for the work, and that's compliment with an I. You cannot compliment and thank people for the work they do that contribute on a team enough. Most of us don't do it enough. We think, oh, you know, I'm an adult, they're an adult, we don't need that. No, we all need to hear that we're appreciated and we're thanked, and be really specific with that. Hey, Sue, great job. Sue's like, okay, like I did 10 jobs today. What was I great at? Sue, that was a great job on helping me to get that report put together. The level of detail that you're so skilled and able to put into that report just made it so much easier to share that in my meeting that I had this afternoon. So be really specific in thanking one another for their contributions and acknowledging them. That builds a lot of trust in relationships to get teams through struggles. Life is not perfect, work is not perfect, but when we have supported one another, we recognize each other's talent. When things are cruddy, it's a lot easier to get through it. Strengths champions in organizations create a really engaging culture by promoting the positive talents we all have. They offer advice from a place of care and kindness towards others, collect and share some of the best ways to promote talent and build strength. And really the ways to do this are as infinite as people and ideas in the world. How can you again, recognizing that talent in people. Educate organizational leaders, managers, and teams about talent and workplace engagement. You know, part of it might be maybe you and another person, you know, come from a place and you know your top 5 talents, you've seen it work in another work or school setting, and you might have to do a little bit of influencing and selling the corporation or the team on using talent in that organization. But it can really pay off, and it's worth the time. So team talent engagement, there are 4 domains. And if you have your themes report, Gallup's taken the 34 themes, and you can see them listed here, and they've put them into leadership, leadership roles, if you will. So there are some talent themes that are more executing. You're people that get stuff done. You're like, get stuff done. Again, achiever goes in there easily. Influencing. So you influence and get things done in that way as a leader. And those are listed there. Relationship building is the third type of leadership domain. You use relationship building to get the work done. Connectedness, empathy, harmony, most of those make sense. We're like, yeah, those are relationship type words. And then the fourth domain would be strategic thinking. So you're the plotter, the planner, the looking at the data, making sense out of it. The analytical, the context, futuristic, intellection, learner, strategic. 3 of my top 5 talent themes are in the strategic thinking leadership domain. I don't have strategic, but 3 out of the 5 are in strategic. So I lead from a very strategic place. I have input, intellection, and learner in my top 5. And so my wheels are always turning about how to make it better, how to get it done better. I'm always turning about efficiencies and stuff too. And some days I wish that it didn't do that. I could just like go with whatever's out there. But my natural way of thinking and being and behaving and all of that has me always in that strategic kind of mindset. Sometimes I almost have to turn it off and sit back from it a little bit so that others, or the other thing is that in that strategic leadership place too, may not be my role to be strategic. And sometimes I just need to follow the directions of whatever's happening. And that's then when I would rely on relationship building, where for me, relator is my relationship building talent. So anyway, those are good to know and understand. And then this is domains of the strength. Again, I've talked through this pretty well. Strategic thinkers, plotters, planners, how to do it better, executing, these people to get it done, get it done. I will tell you, executors and strategizers, if you're really strong in the execution skills, strategizers can make you crazy, because strategizers think through, problem solve, worst case scenario, that sort of thing out of stuff, whereas executors just want to do it. So the good side of that is if you can know that about each other, you can meet in the middle, then that executor is probably not going to act too fast, and that strategic thinker is going to get moving quicker. So it can be a great combination. But if you have somebody that's wanting to do it now, and the strategizer needs to make sure that they have enough information to make decisions to execute on, that can create some tension. If people are too relationship building, too woo-woo, too touchy-feely, that kind of thing, that can get difficult. That's why it's so important to know, they're really strong in the relationship building. That's the way they're going to operate. It's also not a reason to make excuses for people who are participating in poor behavior. Poor workplace behavior is not an excuse. Well, that's my talent theme, so that's just the way I'm going to be. No. Part of this is learning how to manage it so you do not damage relationship. So one of the things that's really cool that I've done with some leaders is taking their teams and identifying the top 5 talent themes of the members of their teams so that they can see, oh, we're all executing. We don't have any strategizers. That would probably explain like why we're always going and doing stuff. But then we're like, well, why didn't we think and plan a little better? When we don't have high in influence, we execute, but we don't worry about influencing others. And so then we're doing a lot of work, but nobody's paying attention to it. This is an incredible activity to help you understand the people on your team. And it doesn't mean, let's say that you get your people and you see a big gap in influencing. You don't have very many people on your team who are good at communication. They're not maximizers, that kind of thing. You're like, oh my God, we have to hire someone who's got these talent themes. No, don't use that to hire. Instead, what you can do is, the team looks at this and the team recognizes, oh, we're really good at executing. We've got strong relationship. We're strategic thinkers. Wow, we're not so great at influencing. We're not so great at getting our message out and bringing others into our vision and what we want to do. What are we going to do? How can we pull on those talents that we do have to get more influence out there? So this is an incredibly powerful activity to do with teams and to do it with the team. So it's a visual for everyone. And that's, it's in no way, like there's no shame or anything. This is just really awesome. We are who we are. Let's look at where we're really strong as a team. And you might find you got everything. Well, then you're probably doing really well, and you can see why you're doing really well. But especially if you're a new team, if you can see where you maybe have some leadership gaps, you start pulling each other's talents in and get that gap filled in. How can Gallup's talent research help innovation? So that's all been on the Clifton strengths, again, for the individual, in the workplace, within teams, very strong teams, of understanding that as we move out of the COVID world that we're living in, that slowly over time, we'll never go back to the way that we were. It just won't be exactly the same, but every day that passes, the next day is never exactly the same. So I don't say that as any kind of an alarmist thing, but the world post, once the vaccine is distributed, we don't have to have so much fear. We don't have to have the world that we're currently living in. We start to return to some sort of normalcy. Out of that, if people are paying attention, there's a whole lot of opportunity. There's a whole lot of opportunity and opportunity for people to innovate. So what have we learned out of this, and how can we build a business? And that's where the Builder Profile 10 is an entrepreneurial assessment tool that helps you to identify your leadership roles on intrapreneurial teams. So maybe you work for an organization and you were hit particularly hard by the coronavirus, yet you see some opportunities. Using that BP10 assessment can help you to look at who are the people in your organization who are rainmakers, who's the conductor, who's the expert. So in the strengths assessment, we talked about executing, influencing, relationship, and strategy. With the Builder Profile 10, the leadership roles are rainmaker, conductor, and expert. So rainmaker is that person who is the face. They are the person that draws the people into whatever that innovation is. If you're an entrepreneur, for me, the biggest one, and there are probably better ones, it's just the age that I am and what I've watched. When I think of the BP10 and I think of that rainmaker role, a person that most all of us can be somewhat familiar with, and that would be Apple Computer's Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was the rainmaker for Apple. He was the face, he was the visionary, he was the one that people were drawn to because of the product that came out. He had great design thinking. He was intense. He was, I hear, kind of a pain, but aren't we all to some extent? But I think of Steve Jobs as the rainmaker. Then there are two other leadership roles that are really important to make an innovation successful. And that is the conductor. And the conductor is that person or that group of people who keep everything rolling. They get the bills paid, they get people doing the work that they need to do. They keep the paperwork right. Your HR department, if you will. So those people that get the orchestra playing all together, or the boat rowing, people will get behind them. They have high influence and people will get behind them. So the rainmaker is the face, the visionary, the conductor gets everybody lined up around that rainmaker. Then the last person would be the expert. So whenever you have an innovation, there's someone or some team of people of expertise. Think the language that's used now is the C, subject matter expert, SME. These are the experts when we think about As we've watched Apple computers over the years, I mean, we think of Steve Jobs, but if it wasn't for Steve Wozniak, there would not be Apple computers. It was Wozniak who was the expert behind the scenes, who was building those initial devices that got Apple computers off the ground and going. So that would be the expert. When we look at our current time, right now we have research and pharmaceutical companies who are working to get a coronavirus vaccine out there. So we have the faces of the companies that are doing this, perhaps their CEOs, and then we have the research labs, which we have conductors in to get that going. And then somewhere we have these scientists, these experts. And right now, every once in a while, we learn or we hear about some of these experts who are actually making this vaccine happen. But a lot of times we never know who they are. Right now, we're starting to learn it. But my guess is we're going to remember Pfizer, we're going to remember Moderna, but we're not going to remember the married couple that was behind, I believe, the Pfizer vaccine. That they partnered up with a German company too. So those experts are super important. And then the complement the top four builder talents to account for all demand. So you learn your talent role, your leadership role, but there are 10 talents that any innovator, entrepreneur has to account for. And if they don't have them in their top four strong, they got to hire or partner for it. And those are confidence, delegator, determination, disruptor, independence, knowledge, profitability, relationship, risk, and selling. So they have to account for those things to be successful. So it's really a cool assessment to use on teams, and that's how I've used it. Whatever you do, empower yourself, others, in your teams by, again, naming and claiming and aiming your talent into strength. It's great to list your 5 talent themes. I encourage you to do that. Please take it those next steps, learn more about it. The Gallup website has a ton of information. Aim it. Even if it's just one talent theme that you're working on, really aim it. Really give purpose to that. Also, if you are putting this, maybe you are in the job market, either internally within your organization or you're looking for other jobs, don't list these on resumes or put them in cover letters or put them on social media like LinkedIn if you can't speak to them with some understanding. It can be a pretty quick turnoff for a hiring manager if you've listed your top 5 and they ask you, oh, so tell me how this talent theme of, achiever has worked for you. I'm like, oh, I don't really know. I just took the assessment and it told me I was achiever. I like to get stuff done. So you really need to be able to speak to it. Championing the talents of others, both one-to-one and in teams, is awesome to use Clifton Strengths in the workplace. Creating teams that allow their members to lead within those 4 domains. Remember, executing, influencing, relationship, and strategy. If in your team, you know where your talent themes are, you can see potentially where you have some leadership sorts of gaps. Again, don't go looking for someone to fill the gap. Your team probably can do it. But if the team knows, hey, we need to do some better communication, how can we as a team come together and use talents that we do have to communicate our idea better? And then lastly, think about using the BP10 assessment and the BP10 to allow innovation to flourish around complementary talent in your workplace. That is all that I have, unless there are any questions, thoughts, or takeaways. I really appreciate your time this evening. Hope you've gotten a little bit of something to take with you. Most importantly, realize that you're talented. We're all very, very talented. I happen to have worked in an alternative school setting, and it was really, really easy for the students in that setting to identify all the reasons that they were in an alternative school and not in a regular high school. But when you ask them what they're good at, they couldn't tell you. And that's a terrible thing to say, that our young people in schools can tell you everything that's wrong with them, but they can't tell you what they do well. So we are all talented. We all should know our talents and be recognized. We should be held accountable if our behavior is immoral, unethical, or illegal. However, we're all talented. So recognize that in yourself, develop that in yourself, and encourage it in others. And makes for a lot more engaged and empowered workplace. There's my contact information. If you're interested in any more information, I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, have a nice evening, and thanks again for being here.
Thanks to everybody that joined us, and thank you so much, Dawn.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night, everyone.
All right, bye-bye.